Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your 2022 Oakland mayoral candidate. Well, have you felt it? It's hot today. Here in Oakland, it is in the 90s. It's kind of a rare event for Oakland, but we do get a few of them every so often, every year. And we've had, for the last few days, a lot of ISO warnings to cut back from 4 o'clock until 9 o'clock in the evening on electrical usage, because there's not enough energy to go around. And so this is why I've been advocating for off-grid solar electricity. And number one, it takes the load off the grid. Number two, you're self-sufficient in terms of energy if it's you have the correct architecture and components. You don't have to worry about energy outages like what we've been experiencing. 40,000 folks, 24,000 folks being out of energy because transformers blew up. And so these are the things that we have on an antiquated electrical grid system that we continue to pay for, which also is a fire hazard, and PG&E, it has the monopoly. And did you know that there's like an understanding for a monopoly just for the utilities? And so electricity is one of those items that comes to mind with PG&E. And as you know, for Northern California, they are the dominant electrical supply. There are some small cities that have their own independent operator, and for example, the city of Alameda, Bureau of Electricity there in Alameda is supplying all the electricity to the island of and the city of Alameda. And so there are small pockets, but what we need to do is look at less dependency upon utility created electricity and looking at solar independent energy creation and taking your home off grid. And I look at only off grid systems because they're a lot more simpler to put together in terms of the architecture, and they're much more reliable than what we're seeing with grid tied, where there's a switching system that can malfunction, plus folks misconnecting the different PV panels up on the roof, causing fires, overheating, massive fires that have literally shut down the Walmart and Amazon programs to become zero emissions here in I think it was 2035. And so right now there's been big setbacks on that because those systems have been overheating and going up in flames, literally going up in flames, because they have grid-tied systems. And so with an off-grid system, you don't have those switching systems and those switching errors that can literally weld pieces together. So also by being a completely off-grid system, you should have built in enough capacity for 2 days of operating without any assistance from your utility system. That's what should be architectured in, and that's a safe number to work with. And I'm designing my system here for my tiny homes that I'm creating, and I'm also putting together tests that prove out all of my theories and the ease of the creation of a complete off-grid solar system. And by being off-grid and not grid-tied, like I said, that switching system makes all the difference. And it's much easier staying on one system rather than switching between others. Also, it's much more cost effective because you control the actual cost. You have locked in your electrical needs for typically at least 10 years, if not longer. And so this is why we should be looking at off-grid solar communities, micro communities that are self-sufficient and energy independent. But we also have other forces that are in cohorts with the industry against, excuse me, excuse me, but they're in cahoots to stop the efficiency of the future, and the future is solar off-grid systems. And so it's the insurance companies, because we're also seeing insurance companies want to stay away from any kind of risk. It started decades ago with banning dogs, and then there's certain things that you couldn't put on your roof, and then certain types of panels you couldn't put on your roof, and they've just created all sorts of ways so that they don't have to insure you. But yet there are companies that will insure you. You just have to search them out more in depth. And in some cases, you may pay a little bit more, but it was not that painful, because I literally had a major insurance carrier for 25 years. And then when I went into my Grand Lake home, and I got Pandora, my pit bull, the homeowner's insurance would not cover that dog because that is a vicious dog, they said. And then I'm looking at the person coming to do the inspection. I said, but that's the purpose of having a dog on the premise, is to protect the premises and protect me. I don't want some little dog that essentially won't do anything to create and present a threat to criminals, and they didn't care about that. They said, well, that's what your insurance is for any of those losses, but it doesn't it doesn't bring you back to life if you get shot and killed. And so there were a lot of things that I learned about the insurance industry that I really don't like to this day, and I advocate against a lot of insurance companies, especially the big ones that you see on TV, because all of them are crooked, and they literally pay thousands and millions of dollars so that you cannot become energy independent. They won't insure you if you put solar on your roof. And much like we're seeing with a lot of insurance companies, they're inflicting a lot of harm from the victims of the different Northern California fires. So there's a lot of different effects, but we still have to fight through, and it's going to take time to change a lot of the laws that are on the books to prevent what's happening and break up that monopoly and allow energy independence for the public. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.